Good morning, everyone. My name is Reasearch, and I am here today to talk about the overview of research methods and the 10 statistical ideas in research. As we all know that this is a statistics class in which we are going to tackle research and even make research about it. So these are, first I will tackle the overview of research methods, and after tackling the methods, we are going to tackle the 10 statistical research ideas. So first, we all need to know what is research methods. So research methods is the ways we collect data to answer a research question, data collection techniques, including how we get respondents, how we ask questions, the role of researcher in research and in the participants' lives, and how we analyze the data. So basically, the research method is one of the backbone of research, since it shows us the vision of the whole research process. Now, we have here the research design. So, research method and research design can't be separated to each other, since when you have the method, then you also need to have the design of each research. So this research design is basically the plan for how to answer the research questions. That's the first one. And it also determines which methods are best used for answering the questions. It also maps out how each method will be utilized. And it determines limitations of each method for a particular research project. So basically, research design is also a guide for us on how we can do the research properly. And if we have, it sets the limitations of its research of what we are going to put on our research data. Now, I have this question all the time when I'm making a research, of course. Why do we need a research design? All of you might ask, why do we need such a thing? And of course, we need it to systematically and scientifically answer research questions. So we have different research questions, and it must be answered to the whole research, because that's like our problem, right? And it also controls the variance. So the variance of the statistics, it will control them, and it maximizes experimental variance, the variance key of concept, and it also minimizes extraneous variance, the confounding variables, or the MSMT error. Now, we have here the textbook versus real research, and the academic versus applied research. Data collection plus data analysis is equal to research methods and research design. So now we are going to, of course, in the textbooks, it's very objective. It's not that subjective, but in real research, you can really have research. It's very objective, so we can really identify what's really the cause of the problem and how to solve those problems. We have here the quantitative versus the qualitative paradigms to the data collection methods. Now, we have first the qualitative research. So we are all familiar with this since senior high school. We're always talking about the qualitative and the quantitative data. So the qualitative research, it gathers data about lived experiences, emotions, or behaviors, and the meanings individuals attach to them. It also assists in enabling researchers to gain a better understanding of complex concepts, social interactions, or cultural phenomena. So this type of research is useful in the exploration of how or why things have occurred, interpreting events, and describing actions. Now we have the quantitative data. We have here the quantitative research. So when we say quantitative, it has numbers for the quantity of the respondents and all of that. And it gathers numerical data. So as what I said, it has numbers, so numerical data, which can be ranked, measured, or categorized through statistical analysis. And it assists with uncovering patterns or relationships and making generalizations. So this type of research is used for finding out how many, how much, how often, or to what extent. So mainly for this research, or the quantitative type, more on numbers, because it has numerical data. Now next, we have the mixed research method, in which quali and quanti are mixed or combined together. So let's talk about this. It integrates both qualitative and quantitative research, and it also provides a holistic approach, combining and analyzing the statistical data with deeper contextualizations and insights. Using mixed methods also enables the triangulation or verification of the data from 2 or more sources. So it's really reliable because you're not just relying on one data but 2 or more sources. So now let's move on. So we have here the qualitative techniques or tools and the quantitative techniques or tools. So in the qualitative, let's focus first on this one. The qualitative techniques or tools, more on the interviews. What are the groups? So you need to focus on one group or one aspect. The observation, your document analysis, and the oral history are life stories. So for the interviews, this can be structured, this can be semi-structured or unstructured in-depth sessions with the researcher and the participants. So it would depend on our research methodology. I mean, it depends upon the researcher if the interview will be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. And we have the focus group with several participants discussing a particular topic or a set of questions. So researchers can be the facilitators or observers. So for example, we have research, and our research will tackle about the disability. So we have the focus group that this research is just for those people who are interested or who have experiences children with disabilities, something like that. So the observations can be on site, in context, or role play options. So of course, as researchers, we also need to observe those things. So it depends upon us if we're gonna go on site or in really context. We can also have the role play method. And we have here the document analysis, in which interrogation of correspondence, we can do it by letter, diary, email, or report. So if you want to go through over them, then you can use this technique. And we also have the oral history or life stories, or the remembrances or memories of experiences told to the researchers. So when you're researching, there's a lot of things that you need to consider about choosing the topic. So you also, and your research has a big impact of your life as a researcher, because why are you getting curious about that? It impacts you as a researcher. Now moving on to the quantitative techniques or tool, we have the surveys or questionnaires, which most of us researchers or most people use in research because it weights the data. Since it is numerical data, it really gives us a good foundation and a good, quality control of the research findings. So we have the surveys and questionnaires, which I told you most of us use, which ask the same question to large numbers of participants, or use Likert scales, which measures opinions as numerical data. So when we are trying to distribute questionnaires to our respondents, we are also getting, actually when you are researching, you need to have like the focus group and then give it to them. And then the answer or the result would vary to different types. And we have here the observation, which can either involve counting the number of times a specific phenomenon occurs, or the coding of observational data in order to translate it into numbers. So from the data to numbers, and the document screening, which sourcing numerical data from financial reports or counting words occurrences. And we have here the experiments. You need to test the hypothesis in laboratories if needed, and testing cause and effect relationships through field experiments or via quasi or natural experiments. So it depends upon the researcher if they need to go through this process. Now, we are done with the research methods and research designs, And we have here the 10 statistical ideas in research. So I'm going to tackle this through, and we have the first one, which is the statistical computing. So when we say statistical computing, well, there are a lot of statisticians, right? And while it's possible for statisticians or data scientists to learn with developers, any statistician or data scientist would or who can program the R Python, depending on the program that the statistician used, has a definite advantage in terms of flexibility and innovation in the design of an analytical technique, the familiarity with the statistical software, such as this, and Dr. Craig introduces us to one of the software that he used when he is doing a statistical data, since he is an expert of the statistical data. So use various companies and organizations could give you an edge. So, well, the thing about the statistical computation, since most research has a lot of respondents, right? And they need to get the mean, median, and mode. And in getting those things, it would be hard for them to not use applications that supports their claim. So it's really convenient to have such applications and that they can use in statistical computation or computing. Now, number 2 is the probability. So the probability is the foundation for much of statistics is rooted in probability. Now we have here the chance of an event occurring, the conditions that must be present for an event to occur, and what influences the occurrence, and to what degree can we predict any event. A solid understanding of probability is key to determining, for example, if a result you found in the analysis is likely due a sense. So like the probability, what's the probable cause of this research? It would matter that way. Now, number 3, we have the problem solving and design. So for the problem solving and design, a top statistician, data and scientist will not only know how to build a statistical model. For I know that Dr. Keg is experienced statistician, so he can really go deeper into this. But to build a statistical model, but they will also understand why that particular model is the most effective for solving the problem at hand. And they will be able to hear the problem, synthesize their understanding of the context and the needs of the organization, and design the most accurate and appropriate solution. Just like the assignment that we have with Dr. Kat when he was asked to provide the statistical data about the pedicab fair here in Dumaguete, which was held in the court, inside the court. And we can really use there that Dr. Craig also considers the life of the pedicab drivers if the fare that is demanded or set can meet their needs day to day. So yeah, synthesize their understanding, and probably when you don't have an idea of the lives of the pedicab driver, you would rather put into number the things that are not considerable at all on the rate fare. So that's just an example actually of the problem solving and design. So you can adjust this to how you like and how it fits to the research. Now, number 4, we have the sampling. So for the sampling, the sample used to answer business or research questions is at the heart of any analytical design. So the type of technique used to acquire the sample drives the type of research design, which drives the appropriate analytics to employ. For any statistical procedure to work, it's necessary to have the right sample size and know how to find it. So take note of the word right sample size and know how to find it. It's not because you have to be focused on the group that you have, so that you can really know the sample size. If you can, money-wise, you can afford it or not. But that's just the practicality, right? So the knowledge of sampling and the inherent issues present within sample types yields the most valid and reliable results. Now we have number 5. We have the descriptive statistics. So in the descriptive statistics, it enables us to summarize our data set for better understanding and interpretation. It also assists us in determining the type of distribution of data set forms. The central tendency statistics shows us the center of our distribution, which is the mean, the median, and the mode, which the mean is the sum of the data set divided by the number of the observations in the data set. So when we are in like a field, we can really apply this data or the descriptive statistics. We have also the mode, which the median, which the number appears at the middle of the data set. So median, middle. So the mode is the most frequently occurring response, and the variance also indicates the spread of our data. So the standard deviation, for example, shows us how far the responses are from the mean in the data set if they mirror our target population. And to what degree might we be able to generalize the results we create from this sample? So basically, this is more on the numerical data that you need to tackle in the research, which is really useful in identifying the cause and effect. Now, we have the predictive modeling, which predictive techniques such as the regression produce critical statistics for data science. So the regression models can take marketing questions. So marketing questions would be, who is the most apt to buy this designer bag? Or the clinical concerns, who is most apt to have a heart attack? Assign weights to meaningful predictors, and permanent for accurate prediction as to spending habits or at-risk clients. So predictive modeling is more of likely your focus group, like who's most likely to buy this designer handbag. Most likely those people have higher income, so they can afford that. So it really depends on the predictive methods that you use. Now number 7 is the group differences. So in the group differences, it is choosing the right statistical test. Maybe a challenge that requires the right test selection process to compare 2 or more groups for statistical differences. Now, statistics for group testing includes such techniques as a t-test or an analysis of variance, so the ANOVA. Since college, I'm really familiar with that word. And this type of statistical test can also assist in discerning what variables might interact with each other to produce an effect, or the results would be different if the participant was male or female. So group differences, basically, it's really understandable, since you're gonna, like, for example, your research is about the postpartum depression of a woman. So most likely the group differences or your focus group for that particular research are females, because they are the one who are experiencing those things rather than a male. Now we have number 8, we have the classification. So for the classification, this data mining technique enables the statistician or the data scientist to reduce large amounts of data into meaningful dimensions or factors by way of principal component or cluster analysis. So the decision trees, models of decision, and possible outcomes fall under this category as well. Now, it's really understandable from the fact that you are going to classify the data of where it would land. So number 9, we have the hypothesis testing. So in the hypothesis testing, the ability to create a testable hypothesis is central to discerning if there is a statistically significant finding to answer a question. So basically, the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis, which would be the prediction of how your data variable is going. Now, the last one is communication, which is, of course, not just in research, but also in life, we need communication. And in research, this is the basic statistical concept, and you've used your skills, capability to decide a study, and answer a pressing research or business questions. So the most important skill to utilize now is your ability to communicate, your ability to share your findings, and are your results clear? Because that's one of the most important things that our researchers should consider. If your results are clear, since you are basing it in a numerical standard. So do they impart the necessary information for decision making? And your results could be accurate, meaningful, and robust, but useless if not well communicated. So this is very well said. And yeah, if you're also one of the essential things that we need to consider in statistical research. So that would be all. Thank you. This is Sarah May G. Bonkawil, and that would be my report for today in statistical education. Thank you.